Cynthia. I was living in New Jersey around 7, 8 years ago, and I was taking acting workshops and commercial workshops. And but I realized that there was not much going on in Jersey. The closest place, like everybody knows, it was New York. But I already had a little boy, and I didn't want to raise him in New York. So I figured my second choice was California. So one day I decided to jump in the car with my 3-year-old in the back seat, and I drove to California. I lied to everybody. I told them that I was coming over to a friend's, that I was going to stay with her at her place. Everything was a lie. I didn't know where I was going. I just MapQuest LA, and that's all I had. So I made it here. I remember I made it to LA. It was like 12 at night, and I was like between the 5th and the 6th Street, and I was like, oh my God, what did I just do? Don't tell me that I drove for 5 days for this. So it was scary. Anyway, I drove around the city. I stayed in a hotel, drove around the city for 2 or 3 days until I finally ended up in Orange County. And I rent a room. I call it a lifesaver, penny saver. Because I was looking for an apartment, but I didn't have a budget for an apartment. I didn't have a job, so somebody said, why don't you get a room and then start from the bottom? I'm like, that might be a smart idea. So that's what I did. Got a job in a restaurant. I've been serving most of my life. And eventually I start getting into the websites for auditions and stuff, and I start submitting myself. And I started getting calls for auditions, and eventually I got picked for a lead role for an independent feature film that was going on in Mexico. So I went there. We started shooting in Mexico. It was never finished. And I kept on going, got more auditions. It was really hard because independent films, not all of them make them to the end. People tend to run out of money. I think most of us know that. So they fall on their way. But it was good for me to have the experience and to be in a real set and to get to know people because, hey, eventually they might get the money or they might get a second project or you might meet somebody else like you guys said. And got cast for another feature film, also as one of the main characters for a shooting in Colombia. So I also got to travel to Colombia. It was a great experience. It was a big set, a lot of people working, but our sponsor got shot. So, yeah. So Colombia didn't make it either. But hey, I got to go to Colombia for free. It was a beautiful place. I met a lot of people. Most of the crew were people from Colombia that they actually work in a professional field. They never got paid for that project, but they still work, they still have a career, I still talk to most of them. And it's funny because the doors are always open, they're always telling me when I can go over there and I can work over there if I want to, but you know, I'm still here. And I mean, I wasn't making money, but I thought it was going good. From driving from New Jersey to being in Colombia, I'm like, this is going good. I'm going to make it somewhere. And I also started doing theater plays, which I loved, and it was a lot of fun. And I kept on taking, I was always looking for like acting classes and voiceover. And you know, I always felt like being a woman and being a Spanish speaker, I needed to prove myself. I'm sorry. She said something. Anyway, I'm like, she's going like this? So I keep on taking classes, and then a little incident, well, it was not a little incident, my apartment got on fire. So I lost everything, top to bottom. I didn't have rental insurance. I was by myself with my son, so I'm like, what do I do now? How do you recover from something like that? And I had nothing else on plan. I was like, that's it. I can start all over again. But then I stayed. I got some friends who support me, and I stayed. And I told myself, okay, I need to stop dreaming and get a real job. Because I have a boy, I lost everything, and acting is not going to pay for it right now. So my son always came first, and I thought that the best thing to do was to go look for a paying job. And I have nothing in plan. I didn't want to keep on serving because I knew I needed medical insurance. And I talked to a friend. She was doing medical billing, and she was making good money, and she had insurance. I'm like, well, maybe I can get into that. So I applied to Saddleback to study medical billing. And I took the first class, and it was going okay as hard as it looked. I was terrified because I never went to school here. I went to high school in Argentina. I never took any English classes. I taught English to myself. So for me, just to dream about being in college, it was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna understand anything. I left high school a long time ago, and I never, took an English class there. Then you're gonna make fun of me, and I'm not gonna understand, and I'm not gonna be able to follow these people. I was freaking out. But I'm pretty hard-headed, and I took the class. And I was like, okay, it was not that bad. Half of the people that were in that class couldn't say more than 3 words in English. So that made me feel a lot better about myself. But then time came to talk to counseling for financial aid. And I was like, whoa, what if I can do some acting on the side, And they were like, no, you got to pick one path for financial aid. You cannot be studying different fields. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? And I closed my eyes and I said, film. That's it. Let's keep on dreaming. So I got into the film department. Never worked on medical billing, which I'm happy about that. And I've been here for 3.5 years. This is the last semester I'm going to take. I'm actually moving up to LA. I took acting classes with Maria, which they were great, and she's always been there for me, and she always supports me. It's really hard, especially being a Spanish speaker, because everywhere I go, I remember first time I went to see an agent. Director that I met on theater, he took me, he was like, oh, you gotta meet my agent, I gotta get you out there, you gotta get jobs, I think you're great, and he might take you. And the guy made me read, and he was like, you're really good, go take some diction classes and then come back to see me. And I remember leaving that off, and I was like, what? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make it. And I'm not gonna get rid of my accent, because Penelope Cruz didn't get rid of her accent, and Antonio Banderas didn't get rid of their accent. And one day I'm gonna get my movie made, and I'm gonna send them by mail my movie ticket. I'm still hoping to do that. And I stayed here, and thanks to Maria's informations and stuff, I started submitting to agents, and I got picked by Jerry Pace a few months ago. He's been sending me to a lot of auditions. He's happy because I'm getting a lot of callbacks, and I've been put on a veil a couple times, and I recently booked my first commercial a couple months ago. Still a struggle. A lot of places where I go, they only look for Mexican actors. So just being a Latina is not good enough. They want Mexican actors or Mexican accent, which I can do it, but still, it's like I still gotta pretend that I'm somebody that I'm not, even when I'm not acting. But I guess that's the beauty of it. If it wasn't easy, probably you wouldn't feel that good when you actually do something. And I guess that's it. I'm still working on it. I'm still taking classes, and I'm moving up to LA to start knocking doors. I got my resume underneath my chair if anybody wants to see it. I'm actually going to an audition after here, and I'm really happy to be here with all of you, and that I was invited by Maria, and that's it. Thank you.
Well, originally I'm from Alabama, and I came out here, love TV, love being in front of the camera. I started hosting a show for just a local nonprofit in Long Beach, and from that, Time Warner happened to be filming it, picked me up, which was great. Got a couple things for CNN, and I'm like, I really like doing this. So in my perspective, I didn't know where to even start, so I start looking online for just game show stuff that I like. I end up on Wipeout. Stupid, please don't ever do that unless you want Dr. Bills, but it was a great experience, and I'm like, I really, really love doing this and want to do it more, but I want to do real acting. I don't want to get beat up and punched in the face anymore. I'm done with that. So I started taking classes here with Maria Hero, and basically started getting called up to LA a lot on auditions. I found myself probably the last 2 semesters up there about 3 times a week, and I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. The gas money alone is insane here because we're in California. So I moved up to Burbank this summer and started doing background work just to make sure I'm always busy. I know sometimes it's not looked on in the best light, but it actually has been a great learning experience for me. My first 2 days out the door, I got put a stand-in for Barbara Hershey. She's like amazing, and I learned so much. The detail that they made me pay attention to. The first day, I'm like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. And then they're like, no, you've got to know every time she sets that bottle of water exactly where she sets it. For the lighting purposes, stuff that it just made me really pay more attention. And from that too, with what they've said, I've watched the cast and crews, and I'm like, okay, I do want to work on this show, or I never want to work with these people ever. You get to know who you're around. Also from that, there's a couple of first ADs. They've emailed me back after the shows, like, can we get a hold of your resume and stuff, just in talking to them. So that's been helpful for future contacts. When I'm not doing that, or when I get the opportunity to go audition, I do take off from that. I booked a TV show lead on a Discovery show before Christmas. It was a mini-series, amazing shoot. The guy does a lot for the History Channel sometimes too. But like they said, the executive producer came to set the last 2 days of filming, and he pinpointed me for acting the first day. Just, he was so nice. He's like, you're doing a great job. Who are you? Second day, he's like, you are not the normal actor up here. You are so nice. You've treated everybody with so much respect in you. And it made me, it just opened my eyes. I said, what, do they all come in here, expecting you, to have a spoon in their hand every day and do this, do that? And he's like, yeah, they do. So it's everything they've said. It's all about how you're treating people. I'm on another feature that's filming right now, lead in that. I just booked another feature that's going to start filming probably in another month, lead on that. But for the most part, playing into what they've all said, it's been about relationships. It's making the connections, but it's very, very much about how you treat people, the respect you have, and also being on time. There's one movie I'm on, the lead actress, co-lead with me, she's been late by a couple hours even. And yeah, the director's like, this is like it. This is not again, not happening again. And it's like, wow. So just be respectful, and there's so much to learn here. And